Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to doing a little bit of a spoiler discussion, so to speak, for Spider-Man Far From Home. It drops by the time this goes up, the movie will probably be like 2 days in dropping and stuff. But this is more so Niger's idea because I didn't really think about it too much about this, but more so on the aspect of kind of explaining the two endings, but also kind of giving our like spoiler thoughts on the movie itself. But how both of you guys doing?
Good. Actually, the movie comes out tonight.
Oh, tonight.
That. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what's kind of funny about it is it's a 12:01 showing. Which I haven't seen the midnight showing in ever since.
What?
Yeah, I know. I ain't seen the midnight showing since dude that little the midnight incident. And they theaters started saying we weren't going to do that anymore. So Spider-Man opens up Monday night tonight at 12:01. Well, technically Tuesday. So
yeah, I mean, so
that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, like, okay, so there was a lot of things going on in this movie that they I don't know. It's an understatement for me to sit there and say that there's a lot. Put it this way. So, all right, I guess we start off with this. All right. So, both after credit sequence.
Yes, there's two.
There's two of them.
Two
now, more than normal and stuff, I think, depending on what Marvel movie you're watching and stuff, they vary between, oh, this is important to, oh, this is actually a funny little after credit sequence that's an extension of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was good about this is that it set up a lot of things going forward for Spider-Man and just the MCU in general, way more than normal. Like, I know a lot of people, they see these movies and they're just like, oh, whatever, after credits, I don't care, it's probably inconsequential, whatever. No, it actually is very consequential. So I guess we'll start off with the first one. So the first one to me kind of felt like more like that should have been the ending to the movie instead of just the after credits thing, but whatever. And I think Niger said it best on this one. They turned J. Jonah Jameson into a what's the dude's Infowars dude?
Talking about Alex?
Whatever they turned J. Jonah Jameson into Alex Jones. Which I thought was pretty funny. They brought back a homeboy from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man as J. Jonah Jameson, which is a nice little touch. And so up to this point in Far From Home, right? Mysterio, they did a phenomenal job, special effects with him and everything, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you didn't catch it at the end, because when Spider-Man's fighting Mysterio, he's trying to get those glasses back and stuff. You didn't notice that Mysterio was doing something else when Spider-Man punched, took the gun out the real Mysterio's hand during that whole confusion. You didn't realize, like, the fake one that was on the ground was actually recording something while everything was going down.
Yeah.
What you didn't know was that he was recording basically, oh, Spider-Man, he's the one that did all the drones and da-da-da-da-da, and, and you hear Peter tell him basically shut down the drones and destroy them, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So basically, Mysterio outs Peter as Spider-Man to the entire world. I mean, I would say New York, but I'm just going to assume the entire world knows that Peter is Spider-Man. Got to.
Yeah, he straight up did. He had somebody in his pocket that he was working with. It was a drone operator. And, subsequently, when he was trying to pull a gun point blank range on Peter, the whatchamacallit guy was recording everything when Peter was going to the one that he thought was not the real Mysterio. But it's funny because this same guy was like operating these drones. Mysterio technically threatened his life a couple different times, but he still managed to go and record what he needed, upload it, and got a trump card on Peter Parker. It was just funny. Like the whole scene itself to me, like, sets a whole different arc for what Spider-Man could be, with whatever Sony does with them. Like, I'm more invested in whatever they do, outside of whatever they do with the MCU than I've ever have before, all honesty. Because this is a really interesting take that they could take, and it's so dangerous. Like, it's so freaking dangerous.
It's wild. It is so wild. I mean, what was your whole thing, Dodger? Because I mean, I never really asked you straight up, like, what did you thought of the after of that whole scene?
So I thought like the characterization of Mysterio was brilliant throughout the whole movie. So I knew his death in a way how this felt kind of lackluster, where there was more to it. And then there was the drone conductor who also was basically in his own as a cameo from one of the old Iron Man movies.
First Iron Man movie, he was the
Yeah,
scientist
so-
dude that couldn't replicate the arc reactor.
Yeah, right. Yep. So he reprised his pseudo role, so to say. And so yeah, it all came together. Then once, and I do agree that this absolutely, what's funny about Spider-Man?
Yeah.
So the beginning of Spider-Man is technically the after the credit scene of Avengers Endgame. It's one of the added scenes that they said when you went to go see the special edition or extended version.
Yeah, it's basically like the first 2-3 minutes of this of Far From Home, basically.
Yes, was going to be an after the credit scene. So if you take that much time, if you take that 30-45 second clip out of Spider-Man, the ending of the credit scenes, like you said, I feel like it should have just been the end of the movie too. So it was kind of like, this is like the ending. But anyway, the reason why the ending was so cool to me is because Mysterio himself talked about the multiverse, which is it true? Is it what was really the premise behind it? Considering that he probably is from this Earth.
Yeah.
So, but he had this idea, and that the idea with Peter being the smartest person in the room, for him to even understand that means like the theory exists. So again, I always feel like in movies, you don't really say stuff unless you want it to mean something. So you take that for what it's worth. JJ's back reprising his role, which is cool. But the biggest thing now is that now that you have Spider-Man outed, Peter, I do not think they're going to make him sort of say the vigilante. First of all, it's really difficult because he doesn't have the Avengers with him. So the whole Civil War aspect cannot really work here.
Well, he's a celeb now, so he can't go to school.
Exactly. But in that too, he's still 16. So it's not like he can just go out in the world and just, be a vigilante. So what's interesting to me is that the only way this entirely works is obviously they have to make up for the fact to prove that he's not the bad guy. And two, I think it really takes the fact of which they could do this is bring another Spider-Man in to show that there's a Spider-Man and there's a Peter Parker. And you talk about multiverse. Well, Sony, I know they're itching to do something crazy and all this leak stuff about what they wanted to do and what was going to happen. Yeah. Something's going to land. And I think there's no better time to do it than to work off of this a little.
I mean, they did. What was wild about it was like, okay, so I laughed at a lot of rumors going into Far From Home. There was one rumor in particular where we were going to get two bad guys, Mysterio, and we were supposed to get the Chameleon. Now, that was never confirmed we were going to get Chameleon, but I thought was interesting. Like, I remember, because, again, if you browse Reddit and all these other sites and stuff, people were like, oh, yeah, I saw Far From Home. The Chameleon was in it. At the end, the Chameleon saves Mysterio. And I was like, that doesn't sound right at all. Like, why would the Chameleon be here? And like I said, again, it's rumors and stuff. But, I mean, I can only imagine. I don't know. It's like I don't want them to walk it back whichever Spider-Man movie they pick up off this. I don't want them to walk it back. I want to see what they're going to do with this. If they do what you say, maybe there's somebody else that'll fly in as Spider-Man to make it seem as though Peter isn't Spider-Man.
Yeah, got to protect the kid. I think you really have to protect Peter Parker, the kid, in this instance, no matter what. You really do. Because, he's 16. And, I can't see a significant time jump of them bringing him out his team that we don't really see the residuals of the effects of this. So they have to do something. The other thing I was thinking is, too, talk about the rumors that want to land. Maybe this is where you actually get the double heel turn here, where you do get the bad Peter, the good Venom, and you flip them both. That way you got your good Spider-Man and your bad Venom. So
so the thing about this is the beautiful symmetry. There's so many different ways they could pull this. Like, I love Nadir's perspective on it, taking like a whole different Spider-Man, because that immediately gives you a Spider-Verse scenario immediately. But one of my favorite comics was coming off of Civil War, Back in Black, when Aunt May gets like shot in an assassination attempt. And like this was coming off of like Peter outing himself. Like he willingly said, you know, I'm doing this registration act, like I am Peter Parker, and kind of like had his Iron Man moment. The other thing I love about this is that even though Peter didn't really, ultimately he was like, I need to be my own man, he still ended up doing accidentally, somebody pushed him into it, the same exact thing that Tony Stark did. And it's like, I don't think that he's gonna survive doing it the way like Tony Stark did it. And so to your point, Nidra, it's gonna have to be some kind of scenario where, you know, I doubt they can do the Back in Black situation where they go have him like reverse everything. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. So it's gonna have to be somebody that's gonna intervene. But I think this would push Peter to his limits emotionally when everybody around him is in jeopardy. And I think that this will be a great time to infuse either one, a black suit scenario or something like that. It would be perfect, to be quite honest with you.
I mean, he is like, you know, I said it best in the aspect that each of the characters, they're kind of taking the baton from the, you know, Trinity and stuff, for Peter being the Iron Man anagram, because you know he built his suit inside the plane and stuff like that, and it may not be Iron Man, but it's his own Spider-Man suit that he's basically kind of taking what works for him and stuff. And like I said, the Captain Marvel is basically Captain America. She's basically doing what's right and stuff. She's kind of like the woman out of time, so to speak. And Black Panther is basically Thor. He's a king of his own nation, essentially. So, you know. But like I said, Peter, he definitely had his version of I am Iron Man, except J. Jonah Jameson's there. Now, I will say the added wrinkle could be. Would be, since J. Jonah Jameson is the Alex Jones of this world, maybe people don't believe it. That's the other aspect. Because think about it now, Alex Jones has his show and stuff. How many people truly believe the stuff that Alex Jones says out of his mouth?
Yeah, sure. Also, I just realized too, at this point, we may not get Peter Parker working at the Daily Bugle.
I mean, they could still do that though, because if it works, I think if it works out the way that, because I mean, it was funny because he started taking like pictures of himself at the end of the movie, like he started like posing, taking these selfies pictures and stuff like that.
Shout out to the PS4 Spider-Man nods on that one.
Yeah, I peeped that.
That was so dope. But I think that it could end up like that, but. To your point, like, I mean, they don't have to believe him, but it's kind of like in this generation when one word is said that happened like years ago, not even right now, people get crucified for that for the rest of their life.
Well, that's what Mysterio told him. Mysterio was like, hey, you know, people are going to believe whatever you sit there and show them. I mean, that's essentially what that was Mysterio's MO anyway, because he wanted to be the hero because, surprise, surprise, folks, Mysterio... and then this has been the biggest thing I liked about the MCU. They insert characters into these movies. So Mysterio was chilling in the background of Civil War when Tony was doing the barf glasses and stuff, and he's just sitting back like, this guy really sat there and shat on my glasses. This is BS. You know, and like I said, you know, you go back to the scientist for Iron Man 1 and you see that perspective of him freaking out because Obadiah Stane chewed him out and stuff, you know. There's so many ways they can go about it and stuff. So I'm curious of where it's going to go because technically, this is essentially Tom Holland's basically last hurrah in the MCU in terms of his contractual obligations.
They're gonna re-up this boy. Ain't no way, bro. They're gonna re-up this boy. Like they're gonna give him another probably 3 movies on Sony's side and some connector movies with the other one. Because it's like he's the perfect age to continue this until he's about 40 years old, to be quite honest with you. So
yeah,
I feel like they're gonna maybe spread it out a little bit, but ain't no way. I mean, to your point though, this makes me so excited for whatever Sony does with his character. Like if he ends up, you know what I'm saying, in Morbius, or if he ends up in the next Venom 3rd movie or whatever, like either way, I'm more excited to see what Sony is going to do with this character than I kind of ever have been in a long time, because they haven't even introduced Norman Osborn, they haven't introduced Dr. Octavius, and we don't even know which version of those characters we're going to get because we got a Spider-Verse situation, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean,
there's so many ways they can do it.
I mean, it's going to be funny before I let go to Eris and stuff on this, but it's kind of funny, like, And don't get it twisted. I was joining the hype too. As soon as Mysterio said multiverse, I was like, "Oh crap, multiverse! We're getting it! Oh my god, I can't!" And then now, like, and I mean, maybe you're right, Najee, on the aspect that that's kind of a plot thread that they kept lingering. Because let's be real about this. It's amazing too that Mysterio's compatriots basically managed to fake a diagram of the multiverse theory and all that stuff, and it makes you wonder: did they really research that as being a real thing, or was it just like, okay, we made it look like it's real, but it's not really real, So I mean, that is a plot thread.
Yeah.
I mean, Doctor Strange could definitely dive into that too as well. So.
Can I ask a question though? So like, if Mysterio realized that the science he was talking about was going to go over everyone's head, so I mean,
but Peters.
Do you feel like Peter was like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for?
Gullible?
But nah, like more or less like better. Yeah, I guess he'd rather not have had Peter there, knowing that this actually would have maybe like caused the issue and the rift in his plan. Do you think he was always suspicious that he was going to be the one to cause a fork in this? Or was this just the overall scheme to get the tech, period?
I don't think I think that it was a double-handed foe. Like, he didn't want to get outed. He didn't want to kind of get, like, his cover blown. But, like, any great actor, like, he used it as an opportunity. Like, you know what? Okay, bet. I can use this, that he needs a connection. He needs somebody that is enthralled with these specific things. Like, for the fact of him even picking the costume and the way they said it was like, he's like a combination of Iron Man and Thor, it was automatically like, I'm gonna gravitate to this person because there's nobody else literally around. And so, yeah, I think that it was an intentional thing, but I think he also was treading lightly with Peter because he knew how smart Peter was.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like when Peter got that drone or whatever, he was like, he told his homeboys, he was like, now you're gonna get me to kill Peter Parker. It's on your heads.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it, fam. But that it made such a, like, Jake Gyllenhaal, he did such a great job because that end fight, even though he technically wasn't doing anything, he was doing so much with that scenery that I loved. I loved every second of it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
he tricked all the other Avengers not to come, but then Peter, one of the smartest, shows up.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute. But Mr. Harris, man, what did you think of that after credit sequence with that reveal of Parker's identity? You on?
I think he's there, but I don't know if he's. I see him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, sorry about that. I would like to introduce myself in the in my Civil War Spider-Man. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So what did you hear? What did you think of that blockbuster, like, after credits of J. Jonah Jameson, like, Peter Parker Spider-Man? It's like, oh crap.
Oh, I lost it when I saw J.K. Simmons because I said thank you. I was like, thank you, movie.
Balding head and all, too. I was laughing on that shit.
I mean, he came back just to play J. Jonah Jameson. Even for that one moment, I lost it in the theater. And not only did he go off this whole, Spider-Man's a menace. He's a menace, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay. Like, not only did he come back, he gave us the whole J. Jameson shtick. But then he goes and drops the mic on all of New York City and the world by showing Spider-Man's identity and saying it's Peter Parker. And I'm like, wow, this movie, like, not even this, we don't even need it to go into Avengers or nothing like that because this could be its own trilogy. We're already on our way to a trilogy.
That's what I'm saying.
Just give us another Spider-Man movie. Bring in, I mean, I guess it's kind of no point in them doing the Sinister Six since they kind of did that already with Homecoming.
Well, they didn't really do Sinister Six in Homecoming.
They
did kind of
they
set it up.
Definitely didn't do it in Homecoming.
I mean, they set it up. I mean, we got Vulture, and they had Shocker, and
look, I just want my Thunderbolts movie. So I'm just saying.
The only thing I wanted to lead up to next is, I still need one of my favorite stories ever told, and that's Spider-Man, Venom, Carnage. Make it happen, Disney.
Yeah, that's up to Sony and
that's a Sony thing.
And to be honest and stuff, Marvel's looking at Sony like, I mean, you might as well just go ahead and just give us Spider-Man. I mean, just go ahead and just give that up to us stuff, just keep moving.
So they got one more Spider-Man planned, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, I mean, like I said, like I told you before, I think Colin already basically contractually did all his obligations for the Disney Spider-Man thing. Sam said they're gonna probably end up re-upping it because why would you want to lose out on your money on this?
I also heard that that the Venom movie and Spider-Man crossover is in the works.
That ain't happening unless it's like official. Because I mean, Feige even said.
I agree.
Feige basically said it's on Sony.
So no, they said that Sony technically still owns the rights to Spider-Man, no matter what.
Yeah,
either Tom Holland is going to do it, or they're going to put somebody else in there. But after they do this Venom and Carnage movie, Spider-Man and him are going to have some kind of team up movie. Like this is on Sony. Sony can do that. No matter what, they're going to be able to do that.
I'm asking, as far as Tom Holland and Spider-Man, Marvel Studios still has to have one more movie with them?
No, they're like technically done.
They're done. It's on Sony now. It's on Sony, whatever they want.
But they're going to probably re-up because, again, Sony's like, well, shit, you guys are basically doing the movie for us for free and we're just collecting the profit. All right, we'll keep this going and we'll let y'all do what you do and stuff.
Because, at the end of the day, ball's in Sony's court.
Yeah.
I mean, they on the come up, all honesty, though, because they made bank with Venom, technically. Spider-Verse was a critically acclaimed hit. Regardless of, whose involvement was, it still was. And then this is going to be a successful movie.
I ain't going to say nothing on Venom until the sequel because usually with your sequels, you're supposed to make more. And I have a feeling it's not going to hit it yet because to me, it's like this. It's a law of residual returns, right? Because the Transformers movies, they always made $1 billion, but you notice they made $1 billion, but it kept going down.
It started decreasing.
Decreasing.
The
fourth one made $1 billion, but then that last night did not even hit $1 billion. Like the fourth one barely even touched $1 billion. Like it cracked over $1 billion, and that was it.
Yeah, but the fourth one was the one that made the most out of all of them, courtesy of China. But
no. The third one made more than the fourth one.
Dark of the Moon. Yeah, it did. Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's because the U.S.
trash.
Yeah, Dark of the Moon made more than the fourth one and stuff. It's just that fourth one made the $1 billion because China jumped in and helped because where the plot line was going in that movie. But
CJ, that was expected when China had that giant Optimus Prime statue.
Basically, I mean that was
trying to rival Japan's giant Gundam. But then they took it down after the movie was done.
But so second after credit sequence.
Oh boy!
So we find out that Fury and Maria Hill was basically the Skrulls from Captain Marvel, and I knew a lot of people online that were confused, and I'm like, so you didn't watch Captain Marvel, did you?
Oh, you knew who was confused in the theater. Like, just from hearing everybody's confusion, I'm like, you didn't watch Captain Marvel. You didn't watch Captain Marvel.
Clearly you didn't. I mean, yeah. So basically Fury has been vacationing up in space, essentially, and he sent, what was dude's name? Talos and Soren up there.
Talos,
yeah. Talos was Fury and Soren was Maria Hill to basically impersonate them and stuff. Which, if you really think back to the movie itself proper, Fury was acting a lot different than normal.
I don't know.
I heard
you say that, and I didn't agree. I felt like Fury was still Fury. Like his jokes was on point.
No, but this way. Here's where it threw me off. All right, like when he was in the hotel and he shot Ned, I was like, all right, that's Fury. That's typical Fury. He's trying to do everything and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess in turn, like what it was when he was talking to Happy near the end of the movie. I was like, that ain't really Fury. Like,
I agree.
It's a little off and stuff. But everything up to that point, it was like, all right, that could be Fury, fine. But it was that's the only one that I could say that's like, okay, that's a little off a little bit.
Yeah, but also what's kind of weird about that, we've never really had dialogue between the two of them.
Who?
Yeah, never did. Yeah.
When?
Not only
between who?
Happy and Fury.
Oh yeah, no, we never did. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also let's also not forget the fact that throughout the movie we were like one good joke away from getting meme level Sam Jackson.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Out of
but
all the MCU films that he's been in, he never hit meme level until this movie.
But
It's true.
but the game changer with it was, Talos is talking to Fury, and we see Fury, he's vacationing. And at first, you're like, oh, he must be chilling somewhere, vacationing. Come to find out, he's out in space. And I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm pretty sure this is basically MCU starting up Sword.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Also, too, I think for anybody who didn't watch Captain Marvel to wonder why would Fury do such a thing. Let's not forget that upon him meeting Captain Marvel and her origins and then her relationships with the Skrulls, it really goes hand in hand. Like he should have high level trust with them while he's letting them do surveillance and recon for him. He's also in space chilling, but also building something. Like like you said, as much as it looks like he's vacating, when he takes a step out, he's calling the shots. And
So
there's big stuff going on behind him. So
I'm gonna propose something though, because we talked about it in the chat. This movie Far From Home, correct me if I'm wrong, takes place a day after Endgame, right?
No, I would probably say let's go. I say max maybe 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all right,
I may max 2 weeks because you remember, and again, this is why I like the movie. The beginning of the movie, they addressed something. I think all of us were talking about this after Endgame. Like, hey, if everybody got snapped in, where did they go? And then boom, we see the students. They pop back up on the basketball floor. So that kind of goes back to our theory. I was like, well, if the plane was flying, does that mean yep, I'm pretty sure all those passengers on them little flights pop back up on the planes, midair, like, oh shit. Where am I at?
They popped up midair. They pop up midair like, oh
no. So let's stick to that. Let's just stick to that theory then. Because there's a reason why I brought it up. So from Endgame to say 2 weeks, Sam Jackson, at the end of the movie, we find out that Talos, of course, is acting as the guise of Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury. Nick Fury is just up there, and this base is massive, right? Yep. Now, in theory, Captain Marvel was definitely still alive, and she didn't get snapped, and she was doing a lot of things in space. But how long, for real, has Nick Fury been up there working on Sword? Now, we had already said that we think for sure that Nick Fury was snapped, that it wasn't Maria Hill. I mean, Maria Hill got snapped, him and Maria Hill got snapped.
We saw that.
But now just propose this. What if he legit was up there the entire time? Because, I mean, only reason why I bring that up is like, who was spearheading and coordinating this entire thing the whole entire time? Because if you're telling me 2 weeks time,
No.
I to be honest, I think Captain Marvel, because remember, we don't know what Carol's been doing up in space. She kept telling people, hey, there's other people out in space that need the Avengers, and clearly I'm doing my thing. So we knew at the end of Captain Marvel, she was helping out at least that section of Skrulls. I'm not even going to say the whole nation of Skrulls and stuff, because I'm pretty sure
they needed a home.
Yeah, they needed a home. So she probably went out in deep space. Now, she probably did help them set up some sort of system and stuff. And let's be real, too. Think about it like this. Now, bear in mind, that was 90s when that happened. Who's to say Fury didn't keep tabs with her every once in a while to see what's up and stuff out in deep space and stuff? So maybe he helped set that up just back on Earth while he's doing the Avengers thing. He gets snapped, comes back, and he gets kind of 401 on from her, like, hey, what's going on out in deep space? And he decides, all right, you know what? I'm going to go out in deep space. Talos, you take over for me, basically.
Yeah,
so
and also too, think about his nonchalant towards Shield and its demise. Like once Shield,
he needs something. Yeah, he needs something else other than Shield, because Shield is. I mean, if you watch Agents of Shield, Shield is kind of sort of operating as a black ops group any damn ways, because they're operating out of the lighthouse.
Yeah,
from the end of the last season, so they're not really a full-fledged the world doesn't know Shield is back. Basically, they just see him as a government operation. So he needs something that's not Shield. So it's like, hey, I got Sword up in space, so I have my own Shield back now. but it's in space now. So which changes the dynamics, because the whole thing about Sword in the comics is that the X-Men were involved with that whole thing.
Which I'm thinking, if that's the case, now that Disney has Fox, can we finally start working them into the MCU?
Brand.
They should.
Better yet. Why you throwing out theories? Imagine if Dark Phoenix had kept its original premise, and then that would have happened, and then this would have happened.
That is a can of worms that you're opening, sir. Because I saw that image of Phoenix flying in space, all lit up. I was like, ooh, yeah, that is very Captain Marvel-esque. I see why you changed it up.
Yeah, but remember though, remember like. I would have, yeah, right. Another day.
That would have just.
We'll leave that alone. We're gonna table that.
All the fanboys would have lost their damn minds, and it would have been like a fanboy war on Twitter and stuff. So,
but the one thing I definitely want to add too is that like, Fury's little vacation spot when he was just chilling on the beach looks almost identical to the same vacation thing that Coulson and what's it, May?
Yeah, May.
Yeah, yup. On the beach, it looked exactly like it. So may not be the same location, but the tech is obviously the same.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. And if you're really paying attention, that was kind of a wink and nod to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in that regard. On that one.
Yeah. And you know what I just thought about too? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's always been really strategical on your episodes lining up when movies come out. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this Friday could get very interesting.
Oh yeah, we already look. Okay, so for those that don't know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they have reached a point to where, unlike Far From Home, there's a multiverse. Like number one, the team last season, they fucked with time to where they branched off time way more than what. So now they're in a timeline that's with where Endgame is and stuff, because we saw like Graviton and Homegirl fighting, and they implied that Thanos was on his way to Earth. So this basically it took place during Infinity War and stuff like that when Thanos was on his way and stuff. So we know they're in the proper timeline, but they also kind of sort of branched off time in a different time period and stuff. So yeah, they fuck with time just as much as they did and stuff to an extent, and they're kind of reaping the rewards of it. But yeah, they go on multiverse and stuff now, and it's like, ooh, this is very interesting. That's kind of like I can't wait for Hall H for them to see what they do. But
I also had a theory, and again, sorry for coming in late, but it was going back to Mysterio's tech. And once it was revealed that he used the augmented reality that Tony thought was
barf.
Barf. Basically, he thought it was a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
So, and since he had been around, lurking in the shadows all this time, I had assumed, okay, he definitely used that tech. When he talked about when he talked about the reality of the Earth that he came from was destroyed and his family was killed and all that stuff, I wondered, did he happen to know anything about the Infinity Stones?
Why you asked that?
Because when he talked about what happened on his planet, like when he talked about what happened
quote
on
unquote
Earth,
his Earth,
his Earth, it made me wonder, like, the way that he manipulated all of that, again, it was definitely using the augmented reality, but at the same time, you can also see that same reality used with the Reality Stone.
But see, that would imply that he actually got in touch with the stones, which he pretty much didn't. So, bear in mind too, the Reality Stone was out in space.
Well, no, but remember, we saw what it could do on Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing of it is, it was inside Jane, and it went inside there, so it's not like it had access to anybody else. Hell, S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't even have access to that whole thing.
Okay.
It's hard to gauge, though, to be quite honest with you, because there's a 5-year gap from the snap, who was alive, who wasn't, and there is a whole team that Mysterio had that somebody could have gotten enough research. I mean, the way I think about it, I think about Ready Player One. Like the other opposing group that had like a whole team that was trying to go and win the game. That's the way. That's the way that I think that Beck had his group kind of like behind him, making sure like he knew everything before it was supposed to go. Now, you guys are all certain that Mysterio, the king of illusion, is dead. Y'all are certain.
No. I'm pretty sure
he used to believe he's gone.
No.
Yeah, okay, one of y'all said that he was definitely not. He was dead. So I was just trying to make sure.
Yeah, for what it's worth now, we'll say he's dead. But the reason why I think he's alive, besides just who his character is that, you know, when you think about the castings for these villains, Jake Gyllenhaal, what's his name for Vulture?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so you think about these big names that they're bringing in. And I don't think there's no better star power. And I know I'm going to hate myself saying this because I really don't want it. But how do you do a Sinister Six without having 6 badasses as the villains?
I mean, because the thing of it is, I had ideas that if you do a Sinister Six, you can either A, do Thunderbolts versus Sinister Six, or B, if you're going to have the Sinister Six, you don't want it to be Sinister Six versus Spider-Man because then it turns into a Spider-Man movie. At that point, you might as well have the Sinister Six doing Thunderbolt stuff, but then it turns into a Thunderbolts movie. So then it's just like, okay, so what exactly are they doing? Who's their antagonist to the Sinister Six? Is it just gonna be street level guys? And so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like,
You definitely do Spider-Man versus Sinister Six. I mean, again, you gotta cut the check. You want to cast 6 bad,
but you gotta build it up though. You have if you're doing another Spider-Man movie, one, you have to be like, all right, who's gonna form this team?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna really do it? And most people say Norman Osborn.
Norman
he
would
said
definitely be the one.
But then you have to sit there and go into the aspect of setting up Norman Osborn. You have to set that up because you don't want to. Put it this way, you don't want to put yourself in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 territory where you're kind of like questioning, like, are you guys rushing this or what?
And you definitely felt that in the movies. As much as I love the Amazing movies, you felt it. You felt that rush.
I mean, you really can't strike out 3 times, but this time again, you definitely got the right hands involved. And at the same time, too, it could just be Sinister Six versus the Spider-Verse. I mean, again, the options are unlimited.
Sky's the limit.
Because when you start talking about the different, go ahead.
You can cast weak on the Spider-Man side, but if you cast big name villains, it works.
I mean, like I said, you got Keaton, you got Jake Gyllenhaal. If you want to go with the idea of maybe his boy using him as an illusion to keep up the whole thing of Mysterio, except you just heel turn him a little bit. You got Scorpion, homeboy from the last one. It's just you would have to either A, do what Spider-Verse did and make him a robotic thing, which wouldn't make sense and stuff, or B, you put him in the suit or do a variation of, or you do the variation like the PS4 Spider-Man where he's a dude in kind of like a mechanical type suit and stuff. He's not necessarily, that kind of thing. So that kind of leaves you with so that leaves you with 3 other people that you put as part of the Sinister Six and stuff, and then you go from there. So
also,
Shocker, Bokeem Woodbine, you bring him back, Shocker,
bring him back,
and just have him in a different suit this time around. So that's 2 more people that you got to. That's 2 people left that you got to add as part of your Sinister Six, and then you're good to go.
Also, where's Donald Glover?
Chilling.
I don't know. It's been 5 years later, right?
I mean, he is Prowler.
I was gonna say he's Prowler.
Oh.
That's it. They do use him as Prowler. I mean, that would be interesting and stuff. And I mean, at this point, you've aged up Miles a little bit now because of the 5-year gap.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily he's not a teenager yet, but he's getting there. Clearly. So
that's really interesting.
So that's to me going into Phase 4. Marvel, that 5-year gap, Marvel left themselves in a pretty good spot and stuff. Especially because I still think that Black Widow movie, as much as they're saying it takes place after Civil War, I got a feeling it also ties into that 5-year gap.
It has to.
Got to. So. But yeah. So lots of things. I'm pretty sure next coming weeks we're gonna get a lot of theories. We're gonna probably get some people pissed off because Far From Home didn't have multiverse and whatever.
Do we really need to jump into multiverse right after getting?
Yes, that's how people are. They want things right away.
I mean, Marvel, they lied to you in your trailers. That's why I was like, I don't believe anything until I see that movie. And as soon So, and the thing of it is, you know why? It's like part of me wanted to believe it, but then I had to stop myself. I'm like, hold up, this is Mysterio. This guy fucking lies. That's his MO. He lies. Right. So there's no way he's from a different dimension.
Same thing with that. So hold on. Same thing with that part in the like you said, they lied to us with the trailers. I didn't see that scene where he stopped the bad guys and he was like, "So you're gonna be the next Iron Man?" No, I'm too busy.
Say it's gonna be a short movie too. So expect that on the DVD. Look, I looked at my watch, and considering that we had one or two trailers. I can't remember.
But we didn't have a trailer. It just went straight to the movie. So
I think we had one or two trailers.
It was one. It was something. It was one thing, I think.
Yeah, it was. Was it it? No, it wasn't it. It was something. Whatever. But whatever. We'll just move that up to like 6 minutes before the movie actually started. The IMAX whole little thing. Yeah. But to an hour and 5 minutes of the start time, that's when the bar scene happened. And I looked at my watch. I was like, yep, time for somebody to show his true colors because there is no way. I looked at the watch. I was like, yeah, time for Mysterio to do his thing.
I was wondering, but see, that was my thing too, because I was sitting back like, okay, what is going to? Because let's be real about this. Let's be real about this. When it came to Mysterio, I think it was we knew he was going to betray Peter in some way, but it was more so like, how's he going to do it? And when you see what he does, it's like, oh, this is actually very smart and genius. Like,
if anybody couldn't tell, if anybody didn't know the lore of Mysterio, it's like, bro, can you not see how much he is telegraphing his motives in front of everybody?
Even the '90s animated series, it's like he's supposed to, like, the '90s TV show made it seem as though he was tragic. I'm like, nah, dude, this dude's a dirtbag. There ain't no way.
Straight up good.
It's weird though, because what caught me off with him is that in the trailers they kept on showing like a panned out wide shot of him and Peter interacting, and they showed him with the wedding ring on, and I was like, man, like it literally had me going. I was like, maybe this isn't the Mysterio. Maybe they're gonna kind of make it be like, all right, this is something else going on, or this is like a future Peter or something like that, and he's just in this Iron Man. I legit had this stupid theory like that this was Peter Parker from the future trying to change something, and like he had gotten married and lost his family. I was like, I gave Marvel way too much credit. Sony way too much credit for that one.
You gave him way too much credit. You gave him like a side story to tell you the truth.
I did. I was like, they wowed me on that one, and I was like, well, you know what? I felt disappointed at first, but then I was like, you know what? This man playing this role so well. I give it to him. Those illusion scenes were so dope, bro.
Dude, that was the grand thing. It was like, how are they gonna do the illusions? And I'm like, that was actually pretty perfect.
Like I said, I told you guys in the theater, I said, you know what? I have not seen illusions or hallucinations done this good since the Arkham games.
I mean, like I said, we got that little bit of Thanos in Infinity War using the reality thing and stuff, which was dope because it was like, oh, he faked him out thinking that nowhere was actually intact, and it's like, oh no, that whole place got burned. Like like that's the closest you're gonna get to any sort of reality, anything like that. But Mysterio's was just, and it was great too because that was the one thing that, shockingly enough, no, I'm not even joking. People were bitching and moaning that we didn't see in Homecoming was Peter's Spider Sense, and I'm like, well, if you needed something to showcase the Spider Sense, here's the movie right here.
This is the time.
Not only did you see it in this movie, you also saw his Spider Sense kind of go off in Infinity War.
Yeah, but people wanted to see it and stuff.
Well, we really, to my review, we didn't see Spider Sense in this movie. It was really a becoming of it, which I thought was cool because at the same time we're still seeing the immaturity in his powers. Like, there's a couple of things about Peter's development that I was questioning in this movie. Like, one, when he picked the suit, he knew he was fighting the fire elemental, but he built the suit that could be set on fire. So, kind of question that. But then again, as they alluded to, his Peter tingle the entire movie. And he was kind of ashamed of, like, don't say it's that. But we seen it on display the entire movie that he was not in connection with that. So it's cool because towards the last fight scene is where he really was like, I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
To an extent. So going back to Eric's point, when his hairs rose on the bus, I'm thinking almost like this is like a puberty thing for him. He didn't even know what was going on. He just looked down like.
I mean, bear in mind, Civil War, he was only Spider-Man for a smooth 6 months.
True.
6 months.
So,
yeah,
true. Yeah, so that's my whole point with people with the spider sense is like, guys, let's give it a little bit of time. I want to be a hype boy for it.
Come in, because this dude, because you think 6 months. Let's go on the aspect that he's basically been Spider-Man for a solid. Let's go for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Count the 5 years, say 8 years total, because 5-year gap and all that stuff, because he's been missing whatever and stuff. But which is ironic because I know a lot of people are like, I want adult Peter. I'm like, well, this is the longest we ever had a teenage Peter. I want this to keep going until he graduates high school officially, and then we can go into adult Peter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie already tried to give us that with the with the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, Peter after college.
Yeah.
Not even in college.
Yeah, he wasn't even in college. It's like him right out of high school.
Which is cool that they decided to try something there. It's working. So people just give him time to mature. He's still making a lot of adolescence mistakes, and it's fine. He ordered a drone strike on his homies, and he didn't mean that. And he's hell bent over MJ, and that way he pretty much sacrificing anybody else around him at this point. Like he didn't care about nothing, and he hasn't been clever with his sneaking out that everyone's picking up on. It's all like he's young. Like it's cool. That's why I always tell people when you talk about which one's your favorite Spider-Man, I say, well, it depends. Which one most resonate with you? Us as adults may not like this whole Spider-Man making these like goofy adolescence mistakes. Again, the beginning of this movie absolutely felt like a high school love story.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, it goes back to what I keep telling the people. It's like that's what made at least the movies work and stuff is that when you catch the essence of Peter Parker and stuff, Peter Parker inherently is a dude that has powers and he's always wrapped up into something bigger than what it is and stuff. And it's basically things that are out of his control. Like it's always like something happening and he has to use his powers because again, the whole great power comes great responsibility. So he has to do these things in order to make it work. I mean, I gotta be honest and stuff. I think, I heard somebody say it best in the aspect that the MCU movies, they're like they're the Golden State Warriors. You're just waiting to see, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop? You guys are just too damn good. When's the other shoe going to drop? When you're going to sit there and fail or this all falls apart. So, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like Humans and all that stuff was the failure in order to keep this whole thing going. So, that's just me. I mean, look, Humans had to be. And humans had to be sacrificed in order to keep this money train going. So
at the same time with all the stuff that we got with Peter, so not only is he a kid still dealing with kid problems as well as just regular everyday problems. Now he's Spider-Man, and he also has access to all of Stark Industries tech.
Yeah.
Dude.
The next movie, man, they might put a handicap on him.
You know what it just reminded me
to the Porsche, and he already wrecked that joint.
Right?
That 5-year gap reminds me of what they do in comics, where they sort of retcon a character back to the start and stuff. That 5-year gap with the snap, it was like, that is like comic book logic here because it's like kind of like when Peter sold, you basically got rid of his marriage in the comics to the devil in order to, keep May alive and stuff. That was their way of retconning Peter back to the old school. This is their way of like, all right, so who got snapped? Okay, Peter and his friends. All right, bet. So they got snapped. They're back to their age, and everybody else got aged up. All right, cool, bet. Awesome, cool. the teachers are the only ones that remember. Oh man, a lot. Which shout outs to that dude because I laughed but felt sad about the fact that he thought his wife got dusted and stuff, and it turns out she just left him.
I forgot about that.
So bad for him. He's like, oh yeah, my wife. I thought she got dusted, and just turns out she just left me. So.
Yo, Peter got legit splattered by a freaking train, bro.
Yes.
All right. Final Destination.
Hey,
I said, I was like, Final Destination.
I actually love that scene because of the fact that like any other time Spider-Man's near a train, he stops it. And it was like, we're not gonna do that here again. So we're just gonna go the complete opposite way.
I mean, that was straight up irony how he gets hit by a train, straight up creamed by a train, where every time you think of Spider-Man, like you said, he stops
He's
it.
stopping the train.
One of the most iconic moments of Spider-Man 2 is how he stopped the train. And
Yeah.
now just to see him just get rolled by it, and it took him all the way to the Netherlands.
Yeah, and see again, if you think about how late that happened in the movie, his spider senses is still not there. It's not. It's not that it's. We know it. We know he has it. We've seen it in Infinity War, but again, it's a maturing of being able to utilize it in the most critical points.
Yep,
and if you think about the writing of this movie, imagine if he did have full control of his spider senses. It would have been off Mysterio. He would have been like,
it would have been done because it would have been the sense.
And he would have also
he would have sensed the stuff in the bar. He would have sensed something going on there and stuff. Which, I mean, look, shout out to Mysterio on that one because he actually had real people in there and everything else. I was like, shout out to him on that one. But yeah, I mean, he would have. I mean, put it this way, a grown adult Peter would, and I think that's what makes it easier with having a kid Peter Parker, because if you had a grown adult Peter fight Mysterio, I think a lot of us would have critiqued on, man, adult Peter is pretty damn dumb. How is he that naive to buy into this? But when you're a teenager, you buy into it because you're like, hey, you know, I need a life. Okay, cool. I trust this guy, you know, whatever. So it works, you know.
I mean, and just imagine if he was fully capable of using his spider sense, dude, he'd have been so broken throughout this movie.
Yeah, dude, Mysterio been washed.
Yeah. Like, dude, Mysterio would have got washed within the first hour. Like right when he pulled off that meme smile and cracking jokes, like, huh? Who would have thought it would have been this easy? He would have came back like, no, I got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, sky's the limits for the MCU. So I guess that's it for our little spoiler thing and stuff. So thank you, gentlemen, for jumping in on this. Bad boy and stuff, and hopefully you guys watching on YouTube, you know, you throw your little theories in the comments and stuff, and keep subscribing to us. You can subscribe to JVS on his YouTube, and you can subscribe to Najee and the Big Gold Belt Group on YouTube as well. Subscribe to us. You know, we 3BG finally hit that 1,000 subscribers. Shocking. Almost at 1,100 subscribers. This is amazing.
YouTube, give us money.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
We're only making pennies at this stage, so you know. That's
you just demonetized your video right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, this is an HR issue. We gotta cut the feed.
Cut the feed. Cut the feed now. Cut the feed.
I can already see it right now. Skynet just comes in and immediately cuts the stream.
I'm like, Aris, where you at, bro?
I got dusted. I got snapped.
Anyways, yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right, guys.
All right.